Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It's episode 123 of the Hibs Ramble. It's Liam, your host, with you this afternoon. I'm joined by the lovely Mr. Craig Leach. How are we, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Unfortunately, it'll be the last lunchtime recording for a while.
Yeah, well, don't tell anyone that it's a lunchtime recording because I'm meant to be working. Don't tell my boss, please.
Why would you be working on a Sunday? We're recording Sunday.
Oh, yeah, aye, absolutely. No, that makes complete sense. How are you, though, mate?
Good, mate. I'm good. Last week of being a dosser before I returned to being a contributing member of society. So, making the most of that.
I suppose we'll be the judge of that, though, won't we?
The
taxpayer.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've not been a burden on the taxpayer. So
just a burden on everybody else.
Pretty much, aye. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Right. But no, listen, another weekend, another Hibs win. This is getting a bit fucking boring now. Winning all the time. But before we talk about that, there is some news that I want to touch on, Craig. And it's news that I think that you're interested in. And that is on the 3rd of April, Verdansk is coming back to Warzone.
Yeah, so I've actually found myself in a bit of a conundrum with that because I am away from Friday until the following Sunday.
Where are you? Where are you going?
Going to Centre Parks on Monday.
Oh, Centre Parks is class, man.
Yeah, going to Centre Parks, but I'll be going down on Friday to collect some goods to bring back up the road in preparation for going to Centre Parks. So Thursday's really my only chance. But
we'll be able to play on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I've not actually touched COD in a while.
What's Thursday's the 4th, right? I think Wednesday's the 3rd. Is that right?
No,
looking at my calendar.
No, Thursday's the 3rd.
Thursday's the 3rd. Oh, right. Oh, shit. So it'll be...
So I need to...
Servers will be chock-a-block.
Yeah, I need to get back on, and because you see there's a conversion kit for the Grau that we need to unlock. Because the Grau is the
go-to?
Yeah, that was the go-to. First ever golden gun. So I need to get myself into Nuketown with some double XP tokens.
Absolutely throwing it back to March 2020. Incredible. I can't believe it's taken them this long to bring it back. I thought they would have brought it back dead soon, but...
it's funny though, but when it left, everybody was buzzing it left because everybody was fucking fed up of it. And all they've done is it's a pure nostalgia thing though. See, if COVID didn't hit, it would never have been as big as it was.
Nah, it wouldn't have. That's me and you and Gavin, Dave, and that for Hibs Talk. Incredible times, mate. Incredible times.
That one with Dave when he
was smashing up the house.
No, that one. I wasn't there for that.
His telly was turned off and he thought his Xbox had broke.
He thought his telly had jacked in and he just nicked the cable.
Anyway, let's talk about Call of Duty because we've probably lost so many people there. But another couple of bits of news. It came out over the weekend that it looks as if Dylan Vente won't be a Hibs player come next season. He said that he's enjoyed his time at Hibs, but it's maybe not something that he wants to continue on doing. I think he's been playing fairly well over in the Eredivisie this season. He's got 12 goals, I think, in about 25 or 26 games. It's maybe just a case, Craig, of he's a good player, he's good technically, but just not cut out for the Scottish game.
Yeah, the long-time friend of the Ramble, Billy Stirling, was getting absolutely cooked on the TL yesterday.
He was getting torn in about him
for suggesting that he's up there with Bojang and Jair Tavares and all of that.
Well, do you think though, like we did spend a lot of money on Dylan Vente, and I wouldn't say that he was like a complete flop because he did get a few goals last season. But
I mean, you see
I,
how
I don't think he benefited from the system that Nick Montgomery wanted to play. I
no.
think if Lee Johnson had been the manager for the whole of last season, he probably would have done a wee bit better. But I think his confidence is shot playing for Hibs now, and maybe isn't the wisest thing to come back and try and rebuild that. But you never know.
Well, I mean, you look at what Nisbet was like in the last 6 months of that season under Johnson as a sort of penalty box striker, and he seemed to be banging them in every week. I mean, Venti scored, was it like 5 from his first 6 shots or 6 from his first 7 shots in the league, or
It was something mental
something
like
like
that.
that. So I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as players like Bojang and whatever, but it's definitely been a case of he just didn't fit in to the system Montgomery wanted to play in, and subsequently at the start of the season, that sort of severe lack of confidence that he would have suffered last season carried over. I know he scored a hat trick against was it Elgin,
Yeah.
but beyond that, I'm sure he missed a few sitters. So it's good for both parties to part ways. We should ideally, given that he's bagged a decent number in the Eredivisie for like a mid-table team, we should hopefully get a decent fee back for him. So,
I mean, as long as we get our money back, what was it,
Yeah.
750 or 800,000 odd
about
that we
that.
spent on him? So if we can get that back, I mean, and by all accounts, he's playing really well over there. So one of the bigger boys in the Eredivisie might take a punt on him for.
Well, apparently there's a Serie A team looking at him, so we should
Well, I mean,
hopefully we can even return a profit on him, which would be
it would be
good.
great considering that he came in and he's not done an awful lot in a Hibs
Yeah.
shirt, but no, he would leave with our best wishes because it was one that we all kind of wanted to. We all wanted it to work out. A new number 9 coming in, and he looked so promising at the start, but like you said, he just kind of petered out. He lost his confidence a little bit, and he looks to be getting his mojo back. And I don't think, personally, for Dylan Venti, he would want to then risk that by coming back to Hibs and having another lacklustre season, and then needing a loan move away to kind of kickstart him again. So it's probably best for him if he finds somewhere else to play, whether that be in Holland, Italy, or wherever. But
It'll be interesting to see where we go with that, though, because as it stands, we're currently looking at Kieran Bowie probably being the only striker that we'll have. I know there's I don't even think there's much point talking about Ellie Yuan anymore.
I was going to ask you about him anyway, because just when we were talking about the lineup,
like he's just disappeared again completely, and he's not been name checked in the media by Gray anymore. So I think that's probably one that's going to go. We don't know what's going to happen with Martin Boyle with a new contract. Dwight Gale, obviously said that he's finishing up at the end of the season.
Miko will
go back to Swansea, and that'll be a complete parting of the ways, I think, as well, given how poor he's been this season. But hopefully getting a bit of money in for Venti is to invest in that area, because I think probably that's the area that will need the most level of investment in, given that we're pretty sort of covered at the back. And we're definitely well stocked in midfield as well.
Well, centre half might be a problem position come the start of next season as well, because it came out again in the news that Rocky Bushiri hasn't received any sort of formal offer for a new contract for next season, which I mean you don't know whether it's right or wrong, that information, but it seems a bit odd from a club perspective that Chris Cadden has come out and signed a new contract a few weeks ago, and Rocky Bushiri's sitting here saying that he's not had an offer. Do you see Rocky leaving in the summer?
Depends. I think if we finish, I mean, he's 25, 26 now. So, and it's only really like this since November. I mean, he's been here since what? When did Maloney sign him? Was it the summer?
I think it was
January 22.
Aye, yeah.
January 22. So he's been here, 3.5 years. And it's only really in the last 6 months that he's completely established himself as a reliable sort of performer. I think if we finish third, I just based on what I feel, if we finish third, I don't see a lot of the ones out of contract leaving.
Yeah.
Because I think they'll want to have a crack at group stage European football.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't put too much into what Rocky says in terms of. I'm sure they would have had some sort of tentative discussion in terms of
The club will be all
what.
over it.
Yeah, I maybe wouldn't necessarily say all over it, because you have this thing where, oh, we just need to focus on, the next game, and then those things will take care of themselves. But there would have been discussions held between Malky Mackay, Garvin Stewart, Rocky's representatives, same as with Lewis Miller, Martin Boyle. What are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to offer you? And then probably just park it until the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think Cadden's one was a complete no-brainer, though.
Yeah, I think so. I really like Cadden.
It makes sense. I mean, you didn't want to be. I mean, we went through it for so many years with Lewis and Paul about being sentimental, but
I
it's
think
pretty
Cadden is a
clear.
really good player, though.
It's not just that for me. It's pretty clear that having Nicky having Chris and Chris having Nicky will probably make them both feel a lot happier, which will then translate to performances on the park. This is one of my daft takes, but if we didn't have either one of them, I don't think either one of them would have played as well as they have this season, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So keeping players happy is, and I'm not saying that they would have kicked off and went in a huff if their brothers not there, but Chris
Certainly
Cadden's still
helps.
it does certainly help, and I think both Chris and Nicky especially this season have proven their worth in gold. So why break that up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll come back onto contracts a little bit later on, but we'll jump into the game. Home again on Saturday against St Johnstone. The lineup was Smith with a back three of Miller, Bushiri, and Iredale. Cadden and Abita wing backs with Nectar, Levitt in behind Hoylett, behind a pairing of Martin Boyle and Big Mick. I think going into the game, everyone's sort of looking at this one as we need to get back into winning ways after, obviously, we got beat in the Cup against Celtic and we only picked up a point at Rugby Park. It was important for us after this international break, which I think Craig came at the right time to get the players reset and stuff. I think it's important that we started brightly, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different sort of St Johnstone that we came up against over the years, where Valakari obviously encourages them to play. Usually when, St Johnstone is one of those fixtures that if we're on a shite run, we don't want to be playing them. But on the flip side, if we're on a good run, we don't want to play them, because that's when the shite run either continues or the good run finishes. So I think if we'd have played a different kind of if we'd have played one of those, typical Levine, Callum Davidson, Tommy Wright, St Johnstones that we've played over the years, we might have come a bit unstuck on Saturday. But the fact that they wanted to, get the ball down and play out really sort of played into our hands.
Perfectly.
Yeah, I thought the press was excellent. I mean, you look at the first two goals, they come from them trying to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, they've clearly not, whether they've not got the players to play out, or the players further up the park to receive the ball for playing out. So it does seem a bit daft that they want to play that way, given how easily we picked our pockets for both the goals.
Reminded me a little bit of the way that Southampton were playing this season in terms of how Russell Martin wanted them to play out and have a specific style of play. You know what? I actually respect it from Valakari, because he's got a group there of hammer throwers and wall punchers, and he's trying to get them to play the football that he wants to play. And I respect it. I mean, looks like they're probably going to go down, which I'm delighted with, because I hate them. And I hate them being in this league.
Yeah,
but
McDermott Park's such a shite ground to get to as well.
Thing is, if they play like that, and he gets a couple more of his players in the summer, if he's still in a job, and he plays like that in the Championship, if they go down, then you can see them coming right back up again, because the foundations are obviously being set there from Valakari, but is it sort of like I don't really want to be talking too much about St Johnstone, but like it's interesting tactically, because you can see what he wants to do, but then if he's not got the players to do it effectively, do you not need to then put your pride aside and sort of play with the players that you've got in a system that works?
I would say, I mean, you look at it, take us for an example. We played a certain way for the start of the season. It didn't work. We played a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it. And we were getting nowhere. We were fucking bottom of the league with 1 in 14. We changed to a back three and we've not lost in the league since. And that's going back when, I mean, when did we play Aberdeen? Like the fucking
It was
10th
November, I think.
Well, there you go, like middle of November, near the end of November. And we're now at what, 31 league games played, so we've not lost since, well, how many games is that now? 15 league games.
15 league games, yeah.
The longest run since what,
The
1947?
40s, I think, aye.
Mad. And that's obviously came at a time, you know, Gray's obviously looked at it and like, we need to change this. Because the way I want to do it, the way that so in his head, he would have thought if we play, you know, a 4-3-3 with, say, Boyle and Yuan out wide, Miko through the middle, when Bowie comes in, he's fit, how does he fit into all that? We'll be fucking flying. And it obviously never transpired to be the case. So he had to change it and it worked. I think with Valakari, see if they're sitting in sort of maybe Dundee's position or Ross County's position. I don't even know who's. Since we came off the bottom of the league, I've not looked below whatever number we're at. So whoever's below third, I couldn't fucking tell you who's where. But maybe if you're safe-ish from even the playoff spot, you can maybe play like that and start to implement something for next season. But when you're bottom of the league and you're needing wins to stay in the league, especially when you do get to that bottom six and you're going to be playing against fucking wall punchers and hammer throwers. I mean, you only need to look. St Mirren fucking dismantled Kilmarnock at the weekend. If St Johnstone want to play like that against teams, even like Kelly will fucking lap that up.
Yeah.
So I do think it is a case of swallowing your pride, try and do what you can to stay in the league. But maybe he's been told by the board, look, if we go down, but we want to play like this. So then it gives him a year in the Championship to. I mean, you only need to look and see what John McGlynn's done with Falkirk. He's had that year in League One to implement this. He kept the majority of the squad, and now they're sitting top of the Championship by about 7 points or something like that. So
I mean, I think you've got to respect it, really, in all honesty, that St Johnstone have changed and they want to be different.
It's what fans want to watch as well. We didn't want to watch.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't want to see. I mean, it's different when they play Celtic and Rangers because they have the ability to cut through teams, right?
On the flip side, though, they won the Cup double 5 years ago away, playing the wall puncher hammer throwaway, albeit it was during COVID, and I think that if supporters had been there, it maybe would have been a wee bit different. But they still had to beat Rangers at Ibrox. They still had to win at Hampden twice, and they did.
Against
us. At Hampden 3 times, actually. 4 times. No, with the semi-final and the final of the League Cup and the semi-final and the final of the Scottish Cup. So, I mean, I don't know. If I was a St Johnstone fan, which I'm not, thankfully, I really don't know how I would be feeling.
It'd be feeling like what we felt when we were in the Championship. It's shite when you go down.
They need a reset, though.
But then it's shite when you go down, but then when you're down there,
it's
class. Going to places like Morton and Firhill and all that.
Yeah, class, man. Class. You talked there about the high press and the way that we were playing up against them. You said that they were playing right into our hands, which I think was right. And it must be something that David Gray and the coaching team had worked on through the week, because it's not really a way that we have really been playing too much this season, is the high press and trying to force teams into mistakes. But you clearly saw a vulnerability there from St Johnstone, and it was exploited really well very early on, where with the first goal, Junior Hoyle, like you say, it comes from a high press. Boyle gets in behind. The ball is kind of popped about their 18-yard box there. Defensive third finds its way out to Junior Hoyle, and that is an absolutely stunning strike into the back of the net, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those ones that as soon as he hits it, you know what's going on, because he's just hit it. He's hit it perfectly with the right amount of curl, the right amount of height, that the keeper's sort of not standing a chance. It's good though because obviously when he came in, he started quite well, and then he really tailed off for a bit. Wasn't he really coming on as much?
Mm-hmm.
But now he's hitting a decent amount of form at the right time. I mean, a goal and assist on Saturday. He's his experience for us going into this last 7 games, 7 games of the season will be vital, I think, and it's good. It's came at the right time probably for Josh Campbell as well, because I think he had his spell out of the team, then he had his run, and he's probably just ran out of sort of steam. So it's been good that they've been able to sort of switch it round,
Yeah.
and give Campbell a bit of a rest, and Hoylett's taken his chance superbly.
Yeah. Does he deserve an extension? Obviously, he's another one that's out of contract at the end of the season at 34, 35. I'm not too sure how old he is, but he's in the twilight of his career, absolutely. But is he one that you kind of offer another year to? Depends what he wants, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think, again, it probably all depends on if we finish third, because if we have that guaranteed group stage, I mean, we've seen how Aberdeen and Hearts have struggled in the past with doing the Thursday, Sunday stuff. So for squad depth, could it be an option? Possibly, but I mean, we heard the noises for the club last summer that they were the reason that Paul and Lewis effectively left because they wanted to bring the age profile down, and then we go and sign Dwight Gale and Junior Hoylett. So, yeah, again, it depends on how much he contributes for the last part of the season. If he keeps this form up, then absolutely I'd keep him. But you didn't want to be keeping players just for the sake of it. We're going to have, like I said, especially in that front area, we're going to have a bit of a rebuild to do. So if his salary can be better spent elsewhere, then we sort of thank him for his year and.
Well, I think, like you said there,
I wouldn't be against it, but I'm not. I wouldn't be. It's not like what it is with Rocky and possibly Lewis Miller and Boyle. Like, sign them up.
Yeah. Like you said there about the European aspect, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself already, but we are sitting third and we know what third gets you if we finish there.
Providing Celtic win the cup.
Which, I mean, they probably will. We've seen a case study over the last 3 years, twice with Hearts and once for Aberdeen, that a shallow squad that's, I mean, albeit I think that when they've went into their European competitions, their squad has been shallow in quality but deep in numbers.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that if we're in that situation, that our squad is deep in quality. Realistically, if we get there, we're not going to get past the 8 games.
You never know. I mean, when you look at the level of teams that are in the Conference League, like I know, even if you take out the fact that it's Hearts, right? It's
they nearly
shambles.
got there, I suppose,
it's a shambles. They didn't finish in that playoff spot. At least it's a shambles, given the level of opposition that they played against. So there's no reason why we couldn't finish in that top, what is it, top 20, 22 or something, or top 18, whatever it is, to go through that playoff round, dependent on, if I mean, I'm not going to say that I've looked around the fucking bottom ends of the European leagues to see who could potentially end up in there. But
no, but it's similar.
Out with your top 5 leagues, obviously because like the likes of Chelsea and whatnot being in it this season, out with those leagues, I don't see where. Like, I think the teams are much. I think Shamrock Rovers fucking qualified for the playoffs or in the top 8. There's nothing to say that we shouldn't, but the issue we then get is when you're going for, you're saying we need to have quality but in quantity as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can only name a squad of 20 for the league. You can name a squad of 23 for the European leagues. So domestically, you're going to be leaving 3 players out. Are quality players going to be happy at being?
This is it, and that's the difficulty is keeping these players happy.
This is where you're not going to. you need probably a 16 to 18 of quality, and then 6 or 7 that are happy to just play sort of as and when they're
Fillers.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance to strike, and especially like we've not got an endless pool of money to spend on
Yeah.
having 16 or 17 quality players, real quality players.
But
So, I
if we
mean,
do get third, do we speculate to accumulate? Because we'll get, I mean, Hearts have,
possibly, but then
Hearts have got in
if
what?
we get third again the following season, then there's no guarantee of league phase football in
Yeah.
Europe. So I think it's I don't know. I really don't know how the club approach it in the summer, but it'll be exciting nonetheless if we get there.
It will. I
And
think
even
at
if we
least
only get
one thing we probably do know for now, because I don't think we're going to finish any lower than fourth now. I think it's a straight shootout between. Oh wait, actually, who else is there? Dundee United.
us, Aberdeen, Dundee United, and Hearts,
Yeah, I don't.
and St Mirren.
I can't see us finishing lower than fourth now. In all honesty, hope that
Well,
doesn't
we've
get
got
clipped. But if either way, we're not going to be playing fucking Premier League Sports or Viaplay or fucking Betfred Cup, whatever you want to call it, group stages, which is a bonus.
right. So the top six at the moment is obviously Celtic, Rangers, then it's Hibs, Aberdeen, Dundee United, and Hearts.
So Hearts are 8
Hibs,
points. Hearts are 8 points behind.
yeah,
I don't see them. I don't see them catching us, especially when if they finish top six, we'll need to all play each other anyway. So I
I
think
mean,
that's
Hearts might not even finish top six.
yeah.
Motherwell, St Mirren, and Ross County are all very hot on their tail.
So what's the
Motherwell.
points? Is it us 48, Aberdeen 47?
So we're on 47, Aberdeen 46,
46.
United 44, Hearts 39. Then you've got St Mirren and Motherwell on 38, and Ross County, who are in ninth, on 35. And I think realistically, those will be the only teams that will be in the top sixes. That's mental though, 1 to 9. And you've got 7, 8, and 9 all with a chance of getting into the top six. Kilmarnock with an outside chance on 32 points, but you never know. Yeah, no, actually, an outside chance on 32 points if they can get their goal difference from minus 18 to
But
above zero.
you'll need to factor in that Hearts and Motherwell are playing each other, so at least one of them will gain 1 or 3 points, so Kelly can't make the top six. Because they've only got 6 points to play for.
Fuck you then, Kelly.
But it's it's interesting. Like I say, I don't see us finishing lower than fourth now. It will just be. I think the key thing will be how the fixtures land after the split, because I think we'll be due 2 at home and 3 away, and 2 of the 3 away would be Aberdeen and Hearts.
Yeah, and Celtic.
So, well, it depends on how Celtic's home and away fixtures end up, because I think we've already been to Ibrox twice this season.
Yeah, well, we'd be due Rangers at home anyway, wouldn't we? Like, if it's to go that way.
Have we been to Parkhead twice in the league?
We'd be due Rangers and Rangers at home.
Rangers and Dundee United at home.
And Dundee United at home, yeah. And Celtic, Hearts and Aberdeen away.
So, it depends on how the fixtures turn out. But do you know what? It's just nice for once to be coming at the business end of the season and looking...
Not having to worry about making top six anyway.
Yeah, or not even having to worry about making top six, because if you make top six in sixth, you're basically just... You're fucking shite anyway. Like, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're more than likely ending up with less points than whoever finishes seventh.
This is it.
It's the pure mundaneness of the, you get to the middle of April, and for the middle of April till August when the season starts, it's just shite because you've just had 3 months of nothingness. Whereas now we've actually got, a lot to play for. You can, if we go to Pittodrie, fighting for third, we'll take a massive crowd up there. Dundee United coming to Easter Road, we'll take there'll be a massive crowd probably for them coming through. Tynecastle obviously will sell out, depending on who we get. Celtic, Rangers home or away, we'll sell out whatever the away is, and then we'll likely sell out whatever the home is. So it's just nice exciting. It's just nice to be on the side of that.
And I think, like, in terms of we're kind of getting off track with the game, but we'll get back on track after this. In terms of like a from a Scottish football point of view, that's the perfect top six. Celtic and Rangers in there, Aberdeen and United in there, and Hibs and Hearts in there.
Well, it's your, if you were to traditionally think of who the biggest clubs in Scotland are,
It's
those are the six that you'd reel off. And kind of maybe Hearts aside a wee bit, but Hearts and Rangers, I suppose, because Rangers are sort of in no man's land. Below the top two, we've all got something to play for.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
no, it's exciting. It'll be exciting to see how it pans out.
Yeah. Back to the game then, and obviously we got a second goal quite quickly after the first. Again, a result of the high press, and Junior Hoylett wins the ball again in St Johnstone's defensive third. The ball ends up getting through to Martin Boyle, who shimmies around one of the defenders and slams it into the back of the net. My question for you, Craig, is how many years do we need to offer him so that he doesn't leave and go to Australia?
Well, it's interesting because he found himself out the team when we were going through that poor run at the start of the season, and
he's been arguably one of our best players.
I think we spoke about it on here as well, thinking, is that maybe him done? And he's now, I think he's either, after his goal on Saturday, he's either equalled or he's won off his best season, goal scoring wise, which was last season. And he's only six goals away from hitting 100 for the club as well.
He's on 94 goals for Hibs, which is incredible.
So I think he's obviously went through that period where he wasn't playing. And I think we probably found that a surprise, given his relationship with David Gray as well, and knowing the affection that the supporters have for him. I think probably out with guys like McGinn for the period he was here, there's probably not been in the last, maybe, going back to, I don't know how far you'd want to go back, but in terms of someone who's got sort of universal affection within the Hibs support as Martin Boyle. I mean, you only need to look at the reaction when he came back for Saudi. He was only away for 6 months, and it was. I compared it to it at the time, but it was like when Riordan came back for Celtic.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot to be said for that, but the form that he's had. I mean, 14 or 15 goals he's got. I think he's almost at like a goal contribution per game.
It's mental. It really is.
From goals and assists. So again, he's one. I think he's finishing third. I think he's in the bag for at least another year, because after what he's been through with the club, he's now in his testimonial year, I believe. If you take it the 6 months in Saudi, he would have signed
2015.
He would have signed permanently summer 15. So he'll probably want a test. The club will probably want to give him a testimonial, and he'll want a crack at group stage European football, I think.
Yeah.
If we finish third,
so.
he's the only one I would say would be nailed on to stay, purely because of what he's went through at the club. To go, he would want that opportunity to play European group stage football for us.
I hope so. I really do hope so. I want. I think it's just greed when it comes to me. Like, I'm one of these people. I don't like to see players that I like leave, even if it's for the betterment of them, if it's for the betterment of the club. I don't like.
I mean, sentimentally,
the players
I think
that I like to go.
We would have wanted to go through this season sentimentally with Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson still at Hibs. And I think sentimentally we would want to keep Boyle, but I still think
he's shown this season that he's got an awful lot left to give.
Yeah, I wrote him off at that period, thinking he was done, and I don't think many would have disagreed.
Think about how many big goals he's come up with this season.
I know,
in big moments.
Yeah, and he's obviously taken Newell's absence, and he's sort of taken that armband on, and he's become a real leader. I think we all know what he's like character wise, but maybe that armband's coinciding with Newell being injured has sort of given him a bit of a boost. Obviously, he's went away with Australia again and scored again for them. So he's definitely still got something to offer. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go into Australia this time next year at least. Anyway, but I'd like to see him sort of being a part of a Hibs team playing in group stage European football. I think for
So
what
that.
he's given the club, he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about the party that he'll go on if we finish third.
Yeah, exactly. It'll make
Incredible.
winning the cup seem like a fucking afternoon picnic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're listening, Mr. Gordon, get the contract out and get Martin Boyle signed for another year or two. I'd be delighted.
Do you know what? I'm just glad for, mate. Right? I'm glad that we're looking at now all of these sort of permutations as we come to the end of the season, and there's so much for us to talk about and potentially analyse. And this time last year we were like, fucking class, bottom six again.
What are we going to do on the podcast?
Got the squad again. Whereas now, I mean, we're obviously wanting to talk about the St Johnstone game, but we're now sort of veering off into what will we do if we finish third. How are we looking at squad wise? We've not even touched on, Alisana Mane's integration and where's that going to leave him going forward? Quan and Triantis loans coming up. There's for once we're looking at actually an exciting rebuild and not a get rid of the shite. Oh, what shite are we going to replace them with?
Yeah.
We're actually at a very exciting
crossroads.
Yeah, stage crossroads for the club. And it just, for more for us, it gives us fucking more to talk about and be more upbeat about rather than just being like, yes, away to fucking St Johnstone on a Sunday afternoon. We've been the token pick for the 12:30 kickoff on Sky. We're going to take about 300 fans up there.
And then on a Monday or a Tuesday, we'd have to come on and deal with Sean's fucking quiz about players that have played for both Hibs and fucking Motherwell or something.
Aye. But no, it's good. It's exciting, and it's a really exciting end to the season coming up, and then also going forward, an exciting season, an exciting summer, coming off the back of what's been an unbelievable turnaround by David Gray and the squad.
I see, like hierarchically, is that a word? Hierarchically, what is it? What's the word that I'm looking for?
I know what you mean.
Like. From the hierarchy, looking at this, like the Black Knights will be absolutely delighted with how the season's transpired. With how much that's got to do with them, I don't know. I don't think anybody really does at this moment in time. But
not a lot, given that Bill Foley came out and said that the club didn't listen to us when David Gray and Malky Mackay got appointed.
But then,
I mean,
you look at
the correlation across the group, though. I mean. Lorient are looking like they're going to get promoted back up to
Bournemouth are flying as well.
Bournemouth are flying. They were unlucky yesterday. You've got the New Zealand team sitting top of the A-League as well. I don't know what other clubs are in the stable, but
I think that's it.
I think it's just the four of us. And obviously, Bezbachenko's quite heavily involved. He's on the board of directors at Hibs. He's at Easter Road quite a lot. So. Aye, I don't think it's any coincidence that as the club have obviously sat down with them and went, right, we clearly need to fix this relationship. Whatever they've done, the whole sort of Black Knights group, as it stands at the moment, is on an upward trajectory.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
And again, it just leads to an exciting summer for us where we're looking at, we're not going to have fucking mountains of money to spend.
It's maybe going to be the summer this season. Sorry, this summer that we thought we were going to have last summer.
Possibly, aye.
So it's all positive and it's all happening, and like you said, it's nice to have something to look forward to.
And it's just we keep going back to it, but just prior to that rocky equaliser, like if we'd have came on after that Aberdeen game saying, "Oh fuck it, do you know what? We're still going to finish top 6. We're going to be third."
You'd have taken top 6 at that point. You'd have taken 6th.
I'd have taken 10th
and then,
at that point, given how bad it was.
I'm sure I came on here and I said on the pod at some point at the start of the season, I said that we were in real danger of getting relegated. And I genuinely believed that. And I thought there was going to need to be a massive reshuffle in January. And how wrong we were, really. And I respect everyone that's been saying on Twitter that they've been keeping the faith and stuff, but I don't think anyone in
No one.
no one
There's
can
a difference between keeping the faith, right, and sort of.
predicting where we would be.
No one who kept the faith would have cast iron said that we'd have been in this position. Not a chance. Because even though, and I mean, we've spoken about this before, because I know that the guys at the Hibs Observer sort of done a breakdown of, where we were and where we are now and how that actually correlates stats wise. Because I think if you go back and actually look at the stats, we should never have been bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to be and look at it objectively.
We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to look at it objectively when you are losing for winning positions consistently, or you're dropping. I mean, there was a slight hint going back to it at Kilmarnock, and that was the key thing about Saturday as well. What was getting that out of our system? Yeah, getting that completely out of our system. And the two, when you look back to say the Dundee United game when we lost that 3-2 after being 2-1 up, I have no fucking idea who we played next, but we wouldn't have kicked on from that. It's how we responded to make sure that didn't become the norm again. And Saturday's performance, especially first half, second half probably tailed off a bit, but first half, that's exactly the kind of response that you want from the game that we had prior.
Exactly. And then, like you say, second half, we did kind of tail off a little bit. You mentioned before Alassane Mane coming on for his home debut. I was watching it on the telly, so I wasn't really able to get a sort of real good grip on how Mane played. I was away with the family, so I was kind of half having one eye. I was doing a U, Craig. I had one eye on the telly and another eye watching the Bairns, making sure that they were behaving themselves. So it was difficult for me to get a real feel of how Alassane Mane looked. But what for you? How was he?
Well, came across like he was a bit shit-feared to put a challenge in, given obviously what happened to him at St Mirren. There was a couple of sort of misplaced passes early doors when he came on. He took a really, really shite corner and a really poor free kick, but there was a couple. He got torn into a tackle on the sort of west stand touchline after maybe sort of 5-10 minutes, and then he played a really good diagonal ball out to Bibi or Rabia. I can't remember who was it there, but no, it was good. I think it's good that Gray gave him an opportunity to just. I don't even think it's an opportunity to impress at that stage. It's more just letting him get out on the grass.
It's like came what it's reminding me of. It's reminding me of trying to bleed in a young player, an academy graduate. And I know that Alassane Mane isn't an academy graduate, and nor is he particularly young. I think he's 25, 26, something like that. So, but I like this, not chucking him in the deep end and watching him struggle and squirm to keep himself afloat. Making him comfortable and making sure that he fits into what we want to do rather than building a team around someone who's effectively come from a completely different footballing background and football culture in Norway, Denmark, whatever it is.
I don't even think it's about getting him into the style of play and how we want to play. I think Saturday was purely a game we were really comfortable in, just letting him get out on the grass. First time at Easter Road, just letting him go out there and just have 15, 20 minutes. I can't remember how long he actually got, but just 15, 20 minutes out in the park. We had all the internationals, we had fucking Mariah Welsh going one side of the world as opposed to Triantis and whatnot going to the complete other side of the world. So, no, it was good to just let him get out there and just get a feel for how how it feels playing at Easter Road, because obviously the sending off at Paisley sort of taking that away from him. We probably would have got that sooner. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes with the remainder of the season. I wouldn't expect to probably see too much of him, if I'm being honest. I think Gray will stick with the the tried and trusted in the sort of games where we're...
I don't think there's any need to jeopardise what we've built.
Yeah.
In that
Especially,
middle
like,
of the park.
I mean, we were kind of going through spells where, right, when Newell goes out, Kwon came in. Kwon hasn't taken any chances he's been given whatsoever. But subsequently, Dylan Levitt has.
I think Dylan Levitt's been excellent since, this season anyway.
Prior to Levitt, obviously, Mariah Welsh came in and took his chance. And then, what we're finding is that when these players are for one reason or another finding themselves out the starting 11, whether it's Joe Newell being injured or Mariah Welsh, maybe I think he picked up a knock somewhere as well, or Josh Campbell maybe tailing off a wee bit, or Miko now kind of not quite there either. We're getting these players like Bowie, Junior Hoylett, Dylan Levitt, Mariah Welsh, and depending
ready
on
to jump right in and take
Jordan Abita coming in with Nicky Cadden.
I think Obita's been good, by the way. I've been really pleased with the way that Obita's played. When Nicky Cadden goes down at Parkhead and you're thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. Like, this is typical. One of the best players and one of our main threats getting balls into attacking areas is now injured. But the fact that we can fall back on someone who was a double Player of the Year winner last year at the club and who is as established and as technically good as Jordan Obita is, just shows you the kind of the depth that we've got already.
Yeah. No, it has
especially
been,
at the back.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. Like, we've had so many of these changes during this run, whether it be obviously the only settled part really has been the back three, and even then it was a horror for a period with Lewis Miller at wing back, and then we've had to change it. And Lewis Miller's, I'm telling you this now, Lewis Miller is not a full back or a wing back. He's a fucking centre half in a back three.
Yep.
He's just so suited to that position completely. But
I think exactly the same for Rocky. That playing in that back three gives him a little bit more freedom and a little bit less to panic about. Yeah. And it lets him then kind of show how he wants to play rather than, if he was a centre half in a back two, a centre half in a back four, then it's completely different to how you play as a centre half in a back three.
The balance
I really like
it's just the balance for back to front is just perfect. Mm-hmm. In terms of the profiles of players that we've got in that back three in the wing back area, centre mid, in the 10 and the 2 up front. The profiles are just, I think, I'm not going to say perfect, but you know what I mean. They just fit exactly how we want to play. So when Nicky Cadden goes down, somebody like Jordan Abita can replace him. If Chris Cadden goes down, we know that we can shuffle Miller out one, and we've got O'Hora and Ekpateta to come in. When Newell goes out, Mariah Welsh goes out, Levitt goes out, we've got someone else to fill that gap.
Absolutely.
So
it doesn't feel any more like square pegs, round holes. It feels like we've got the player exactly like you said, the player profile for the position profile. Yeah, it's like we're all green on Football Manager for roles and positions and stuff.
Yep, pretty much.
I like that. I do like that. But second half, like you said, tailed off a little bit. Kieran Bowie comes on and looks fairly lively. Probably should have scored at least once before he did score. A really good kind of shift in movement to get the ball onto his left foot on the edge of the 18-yard box and forces a good save from Fisher. But I thought it was really, really smart the way that he won the penalty. Could see that he was probably trying to...
He was looking for it, I think.
To get a contact.
Yeah.
One of these ones, it goes to VAR, but Craig, it's one of these ones I think we've had a couple of instances throughout the season. It's one of these that the referee gives it, and I don't think VAR really has any need to overturn it. I think if it wasn't given, VAR wouldn't have overturned it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they did take a fucking while having a good look at it, to be fair. But it's in that they're not going to go against the referee if he gives it, but on the same token, they're not going to tell him to go to the monitor if he doesn't give it, I think. Yeah. But I took it well, really cool. Really cool.
Nice and calm penalty, yeah.
And that's, again, another wee boost for him as well.
I think it was a brilliant time for him to get that, because if he did miss, God forbid, then it's not like St Johnstone would have got a spring in their step and we would have chucked the game away because it was like
The game was finished. Aye.
a minute to go. So it was basically a win-win for Kieran Bowie. If he missed it, I don't think he would have lost too much confidence. And if he scores it, then it's another. It's a good habit to get into is scoring goals, especially at home. So
exactly.
Thankfully, he managed to put it in the back of the net in a dead camp finish, and that wrapped up the points. 3-0, 3 points, and it was a particularly happy days.
Yep. Even though St Johnstone had more of the ball, we controlled that game from start to finish.
They had one shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And it came at the start of the first half, I think. So it just shows you completely how in control Hibs were, and I thought we were fantastic. And yeah, they had more of the ball, but I think that like the way that they play kind of lends itself to that. Like they'll have the ball in their defensive third, in their midfield third, but they did absolutely nothing going forward.
Nah,
nothing to hurt us.
Absolutely hee-haw.
And you came what? I'm absolutely delighted. A routine 3 points, but it's a game that maybe wouldn't have been as easy at the start of the season or at the end of last season, etc., etc. So, it's one of these ones maybe that it could have been a bit of a banana skin, but it wasn't, and we move on. Of course, Rangers next week. Another big game. I had a look at the highlights of their game in Dundee just before we started recording, and that was a mental game.
Mate, do you know what? It was actually a really good game to watch.
I feel like both sides were very, very open.
Yeah, and that's with how they can toil in front of their home crowd at times. That could be when I was watching the game, thinking this is a fucking great chance for us. If they try and play the same way,
I felt like that as well.
It's a great opportunity for us.
I feel like they love to commit their players forward, especially their fullbacks.
Yeah.
Tavernier and Yefte. Yefte, I think, is absolutely rotten.
Yeah, him and Yilmaz are much of a muchness between
Really
them.
don't think that Yefte's very good. Yilmaz, he came off at half time, did he? And
about 55, 60 minutes in,
and
they swapped him.
Yefte, come on. Yilmaz is shite. Yefte is shite. Tavernier defensively is shite. And the more that they commit those players forward, the easier it's going to be if Nicky Cadden's back to exploit those areas. It's like the Robbie Nielsen Hearts team that just loved to commit those players forward, and there was all the space in behind. I mean, if you've got Junior Hoylett then splitting the two strikers, then you're going to have effectively a front three against. But did they play a back three or a back four? I can't remember.
They played a back four on Saturday to start with, and then when it went tits up and they went 3-0 down, 3-1 down, I think they went to the 3.
So I mean, whatever they do, I think we're going to be able to match them man for man.
I mean,
attacking wise,
we can't discount their quality.
This is exactly what I've got written down in my notes. As poor as they can be at the back, you look at players like Tavernier, who's obviously, I don't think defensively that sound, but going forward, you cannot take away anything because again he scores an absolute screamer at the weekend.
And I mean, there's a lot of laughing and joking. There's a lot of laughing and joking about him, given the amount of chances he had on Saturday as well. But
I think Cyril Dest is a really good player. I really do.
He's one of the, like, I can see why Rangers fans get pissed off at him because he gets all of those chances. Like, he gets the easy one, he fucks the easy ones and then scores the hard ones.
Yeah.
But he's still getting in those areas to create the chance they're still creating those chances for him. Depending on what happens with Cherny, I don't know why he didn't play at the weekend. I don't know if he was injured or what.
Did he not pick up a knock on international duty?
Possibly. If he's not playing on Saturday, I'll feel a lot more confident if he is, because I think that with him, he's the kind of player that would force Nicky Cadden if he's fit to start. I think he nullifies Cadden going forward because you need to be so turned on against him defensively.
Yeah.
If it's somebody like Hadji, who has to play in that area. Hadji's not as good, nowhere near as good as Czerny. So it
Yeah.
potentially frees Cadden up, or even Jordan Obita, to be a bit more offensive. But no, I don't see. For once, I'm not going to Ibrox thinking, fucking hell, just get out of
Doom
there.
mongers.
Yeah, just
get there
again,
without
it's
point.
one of those. If it's a scrappy 1-0 defeat, we take it and move on. Nah, we're on an amazing run right now, and we should be going through there with absolutely no fear. It'll play on their minds as well, given how they played. With Rocky getting a last minute equaliser against them at Easter Road. They were 2-0, but I think they were 2-0 up that day as well, and we completely pegged them back.
Yeah, they were 2-0 up, and Boyle scored.
And the way that they seem to be playing under Barry Ferguson as well seems to be kind of nullifying Igamani, who I thought was their best player
Who was there?
against us.
Well, he got a hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah, so as long as we can be defensively solid as we have been over this run, and get Boyle, Bowie, Miko, whoever into those areas, because it's one of those ones like Boyle's shot on Saturday. If we're not on the run that we're on and he's on, that probably doesn't go in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those ones when
You need a bit of luck in whatever game you play.
Yeah.
But I think that the way that we're playing, we can certainly go there with elevated confidence, more than what we would usually take to go there.
Yeah.
And I think we've got more than enough about us to be able to give them a game. They've been beaten there a few times this season, against the so-called lesser clubs. Your Motherwells. I can't remember who else has beaten them there this season. This is fucking Aberdeen beat them, St Mirren beat them, I think. So
Queen's Park have beat them as well. But I mean, it's
exactly Queen's Park have beat them. So
fixture wise, it's one of the, if we can come away even with a as long as this unbeaten run is still intact come the end of it, right? Because Ross County, Aberdeen are away to Ross County, not an easy place for them to go. And Hearts.
I beg to differ. I think Aberdeen have got a really good record up there recently, and they usually always seem to beat County.
Well, they only beat them 1-0. Remember last minute goal in Nisbet when they had the pitch invasion at the start of the season. And Hearts are playing Dundee United. So
yeah, it's a good chance for us if we get a win.
We had
and Aberdeen don't win.
We had one of these weekends recently where when we beat Celtic and all the other results would have went against us. I mean, you look at, Hearts are playing Dundee United this weekend, and then the next weekend it's Aberdeen. Aberdeen have got Rangers and Motherwell and Hearts. Mm-hmm. It's a great, we probably couldn't have asked for 3 better fixtures to close out the pre-split, because we could, come the end of the Dundee game, we could find ourselves in an unbelievable position.
Well, we could be, all going well, 7 points clear in third.
Exactly.
So that's where we want to be, and I think that there's. Listen, I don't want to get too ahead of myself talking about Rangers at the weekend, but I honestly think that we can go there and beat them.
Yeah, we can.
It's as simple as that, and I don't think that that's outlandish to say.
They went recently.
We're due one.
Aye, but I mean, even their recent run that they've been on, I mean, they're still, while they're scoring goals, they're also sort of conceding as well. Mm-hmm. Motherwell beat them there recently, and then they've had obviously the games against Fenerbahce, so they've only had 2. I mean, they got beat off Motherwell under Ferguson. They conceded 2 away at Kilmarnock.
2 against Celtic.
Conceded 2 against Celtic, and then they conceded 3 on Saturday. So they're not defensively solid.
Well, I mean, I thought that as well. Even just looking at the manner of the goals that they conceded,
they looked solid against Celtic at Parkhead, right? But that's only because the way they set up completely nullified Celtic, because how Celtic would want to dominate them. Mm-hmm. They're going to set up to dominate us.
We're not going to dominate the ball on Saturday. No. But I think that then still suits us to have an awful lot of the ball.
But we had less of the ball against St Johnstone, and we controlled the game. So, no, it's. I feel for the first time in a long time, I feel really confident about going through there.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can come away with a win, but you said earlier on, would a point be enough?
A point's not the worst in the world, because I mean, even if you factor in Aberdeen getting the full 3 against Ross County, they've got Rangers the following week, and we've got Dundee at home.
They've got Have they got Rangers at home? I think they do.
Yeah, the last fixture before the split, they've got Rangers at home.
I mean, Aberdeen are just starting to hit form at the wrong time for us, aren't they? It's going to make it interesting post-split.
It is. It really is. It's a tale of two seasons with us and them, where we were so good. We were so shite and they were so good. And then we've been so good and then they were so shit.
Really bad, yeah.
But we're still good and then they're coming good again. So
exactly. Well, before we wrap up, will we answer some listener questions?
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
First off, John McIntosh asks, what's for dinner?
Don't know what's for dinner tonight, actually.
Well, what did you have last night? Let's go with what did you have last night?
I didn't actually have any dinner last night because we got a late...
Well, what did you have the night before then?
We got a late Five Guys yesterday afternoon. So...
what did you go for Five Guys?
Just bacon double cheeseburger, ketchup, mustard.
All the toppings?
No, I like my burgers simple. I don't like to be... I swithered with jalapenos. I went against it at the last minute. But just a nice bacon double cheeseburger soaked in ketchup and mustard.
And then no toppings at all?
Nah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not like I say, I like my burgers just meat and cheese.
Are you a pickle guy?
Definitely not.
See,
my laddie's pickle daft, but
I would have put pickles on there.
Nah. Not for me.
Yesterday I did like a KFC fake away for me and Megan, which was pretty good. Apart from the fact that when I put the chicken in the air fryer, I forgot to oil the air fryer so that when the chicken came out of the air fryer, all the coating came off. Well, on one side, because I flipped it halfway.
Brilliant.
But I mean, I wasn't happy. Megan was like, it's fine. Ken, that way when you're looking forward to something, especially when it's food and you're hungry, and then it just doesn't turn out the way you want it.
It just turns into a disaster.
Like if you're having a fajita and the wrap gets a hole in it, and you're like, bastard!
Aye. Or when you're holding it, and it
all comes out the bottom. I mean, you're eating it and it's going to taste the exact same, but it's just not the way that...
When you have to build it together again, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, it really annoyed me. It was tasty though. It was very good. I did my own supercharger sauce as well. It's pretty good. But yeah, that's what I had for my dinner last night. Next up, Billy asks, which EPL journeyman in the twilight of their careers will we sign in the summer after the success of Dwight Gale and Junior Hoilett? Seamus Coleman, perhaps?
No, absolutely no chance. Do you know what, right? Hoilett and Gale weren't EPL journeymen when we signed them. They were actually EFL Championship journeymen. So I don't really pay much attention to the Championship to know who's maybe...
Wes Hoolahan?
He's League 2, I think, now.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Ken, who would have been fitting that mould? Andy Johnson, mind him?
Yes.
Big ball striker.
Kevin Phillips.
I'd take Kevin Phillips now, to be honest. What a player he was, by the way.
I don't know who's... The Championship's much of a muchness. Maybe...
Yeah, I don't think you get that many journeymen now.
Nah.
There's no Dwight Gales or Junior Hoiletts in the Championship and Premier League nowadays. It's all young foreign talent. There's
what about
no one that kind of bumps about?
What about maybe a Kiefer Moore? Someone like
he's
him.
a bit old, isn't he?
Kiefer Moore. Someone of that ilk. Grant Hanley. Shane Duffy.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
I tell you,
Kenny
someone
McLean.
who's...
Kenny McLean.
Oh, he's not really bumped about enough for me. Someone like James Ward-Prowse, when he's in maybe like 5 to 7 years' time.
34, 35. Aye.
Take him. I don't know, that's a great question, though. I saw it the other day and I've been thinking about it since. But I don't know. Difficult. Who would you choose, Ramblers? If you're listening and you're thinking, oh, bang, Hugo Rodallega or someone like that, fucking
Cameron Jerome.
Nailed on. Oh, mate, that's a great one. Cameron Jerome. He would have been
I
nailed on.
think even Premiership now, who's like an older talisman that's getting maybe like 10, 15 minutes every now and then?
I mean, James Milner is maybe but he's too high a level.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one.
It's a good one. If you've got any...
The market for journeyman isn't what it used to be, I don't think.
Nah. There's no Berbatovs, there's no Anelkas.
No. Maybe a wee return for Porteous.
Maybe.
On loan at Preston now.
Yeah. Didn't play on Sunday.
Cup tied, I think.
Cup tied, is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well. Shame for him. I wouldn't mind seeing Ryan Porteous come back. That'd be quite nice. Second to last question this week comes from Colin McLennan. He says, great performance and result on Saturday. With Vente wanting away and Rico returning to Swansea and Boyle possibly off, who would you like to see partnering Bowie up front next season? For me, ideally, it's got to be Martin Boyle, but if that's not an option, then maybe Olisanya.
Yeah, I was going to say, there seems to be a lot of noise about him. But I don't know if he'd be one of these that, he'll maybe play 31, 32 games, but he'll only have like 5 or 6 goals.
Yeah, I think the way that he plays and the sort of dynamic that he gives you, I think, is quite similar to what Eli Yuan would maybe give you. Being able to play across that front three, but maybe best out wide.
I don't know. Again, it's one of these. See, even though there's there's a complete saturation of football that whenever you turn the telly on, there's football there. Mm-hmm. There's no really somebody that I would watch and go, do you know what? There's only one player that I've seen in the league that I would take at Hibs, and that's
Sam
the boy. No, the boy Mulligan. Is it Josh Mulligan?
I like Mulligan, yeah. I like him. I think he's good.
And also, maybe controversially, Jordan McGee.
Who else from Dundee would you take?
Or I think the obvious one for elsewhere. I mean, I don't know if he's still there. Mark O'Hara, is he still at Dundee?
No, he's at St Mirren.
St Mirren. I take O'Hara for St Mirren.
He's kind of an all-rounder, really, in the middle of the park. But it's like, I suppose it depends on
Dalby's
what our midfield situation looks like. Dalby will be.
Dalby's an option as well.
I don't think he'll be coming back up here. He'll probably end up in Championship next season.
Never know. Third place could sway it for a lot of things. But I've quite like the look of Josh Mulligan for Dundee. If I was to pick one player in the league that I've seen that I think would benefit us, it would be Josh Mulligan.
I think Josh Mulligan's a good one as well because he's so versatile and he can play in the middle of the park and he can also play it wide. And I think he's done a couple of stints at fullback as well.
Yeah.
So maybe be able to fit into the style that David Gray wants to play in the formation that suits us at the club. But suppose time will tell. There's not really any point in us speculating about transfers because at the end of the day we know fuck all. But it's
exactly.
Fun. It's
we know
fun
absolutely fucking nout.
It's fun to speculate. I would take Mulligan. And Jordan McGee, I think he's been popping up every now and then with a couple of goals, but I think he's too old.
He's only 28.
He'll finish. I wouldn't take him.
He's maybe one is more of us. If Lewis Miller was to go, he's an option for like that, like centre half, right wing back role, and he's been away for Hearts long enough now that it wouldn't be a big deal.
It's an odd one because it's like he's been.
Do you know what? It's just because we were speaking about it, and because I watched that full game, he was somebody that he actually had a no bad, despite the fact they lost 4 goals.
I think he's actually played pretty well this season as well, but is it another one that he's been just kind of fine for a long time, and then he's having one good season? Is that enough
Possibly.
to take a punt on him? I don't know.
It's just an experienced option at fullback, right wing back, right centre half, especially if Lewis Miller was to go.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it would make sense, Craig, and it's sensible.
Homegrown quota for Europe as well.
Yes, exactly. And finally, this is the question I think you've been looking forward to, because I tagged you not on Twitter. So I know you've already done the analysis of this tweet. Gav Dick. Now, if you're a long-term listener of the show, you'll know that Craig is anal, he's pedantic, and Gav is below par when it comes to spelling, grammar, punctuation, and the general sort of structuring of his tweets to the ramble. Despite the fact that I think he is intending on becoming a journalist one day. Maybe a vocal journalist rather than a written one.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, Gav says, St Johnstone are murder, space, comma, space. What were they thinking defensively? Full stop. We were not troubled in the slightest. That's the only fine sentence. We were not troubled in the slightest. That's the only fine sentence so far in the three that he's given. And then he spelt Hoylett, Hoielt. Hoylt has been a menace in recent weeks. Is he still in contract after the summer? I would definitely give him another year. Now, I don't know who you think he's talking about, but I think he means Junior Hoylett rather than Hoylt.
Yep. Yeah, as soon as that tag came up, it ruined my Saturday, if I'm being honest.
Give us a lowdown on how you felt when you saw that tweet from Gav.
Yeah, Hoyle is... I can excuse, maybe a space, comma, space, or a full stop instead of a question mark. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But Hoyelt is... I don't even think Liam Riley's autocorrect would come up with Hoyelt if you were spelling Hoylett. And we all know what Liam Riley's phone is capable of at the best of times.
And it's only one T that he's put as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got most of the letters there. There's just
it's such a good point as well, and it doesn't even deserve the airtime that we're giving it. I'm sick of saying do better. It's been nearly 3 years of this, man. To the point where I'm convinced he's doing it deliberately now.
I've said to him a couple of times, are you doing it deliberately? And he's just like, no, I'm not. I think he's lying to us. I
think he's telling porkies.
He's talking cack. He's talking out his arse. Stay with us. Feels like a nice place to round off there, Craig.
It does, mate.
Enjoyed this week's episode?
I have.
Good.
It's always a pleasure, never a chore.
Absolutely. It's been nice to be back on, actually. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on.
Nice to be back on the
airwaves.
The pundit side rather than the hosting side.
Yeah, you don't do very well with hosting nowadays.
Nah, I used to.
You just got a bit rusty, man.
Yeah, I used to write the book on it, and now you're filling in the chapters for me.
I'm trying my hardest, mate. I'm trying my hardest. It's all about the preparation. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
I do none.
Yeah. And listen, you don't need to do any because it just all rolls off the tongue for you, Craig.
Exactly. That's what happens when you've got a high football IQ.
I wouldn't know. That's why I ask the questions and you answer them.
Correct.
I carry the piano, you play it.
Exactly.
Lovely stuff. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening and tuning in. Thanks to everyone who's contributed with a question this week. If you don't already, get us on socials. We are at the Hibs Ramble on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, on Spotify and Apple Music. Not Apple Music, Apple Podcasts if you don't already get us on there. So that's all that's left for us to say is catch you after the Rangers game and see you later.
Let's get ready to rumble.